the first time in South Africa, we have the art price index to look forward to. And George Herman, investment strategist at Citadel, is now going to tell us a little bit more about this. And, you know, art is viewed as an alternative investment. For me, it's more like a passion investment because it's something that's very close to my heart. The art price index, what prompted Citadel to come up with this indice?
Well, firstly, you know, many of our investors are invested in what we refer to as passion investments, and it's art, wine, luxury cars, racehorses, yachts. There are so many alternative investments. But in South Africa, there's quite a significant investment in art already, and very often art makes out a significant portion of a client's portfolio. So the purpose here was to demystify this asset class, to create an index so there's more transparency and that we're able to track this asset class over time and hence advise clients, but also that it adds value to the art market overall.
Well, tell us about the model and the data that you've actually been using and whether you've used global information to come up with something for South Africa.
Unfortunately, it's a South African index. We don't use global data, but we do use global best practice. In terms of the model, we looked at international models, the Moses index being the biggest model internationally. That uses a repeat sales price regression model. Now that means that a piece of art, as soon as it's traded, they wait till it trades again, and that creates a trade pair, and hence you know what the price has done. Unfortunately, in South Africa, we do not have enough data to use that methodology, so we had to come up with something new. The methodology that's used by us is the hedonic model, and thereby you don't need the repeat sales regression. In terms of the data, Auction Vault is the company providing us with the data, and we have auction data in South Africa back from 2000. It's got 2,500 artists in it. And,
a mixture of local and, of course, international.
Only local.
Only local.
Only South African art pieces. And with the top 100 artists that we chose by number of transactions, it gave us approximately 14,500 transactions included in the data for that index. So it's very well representative of the universe.
I'm actually looking at the top 100. Walter Batiste being number one, and interesting to note, William Kentridge is far further down.
Do not get sucked into where people are rated on that list, and I'll tell you why. It is by number of transactions, and the reason being is that we want to emphasize liquidity in the market more so than the aesthetic benefit that you would give to an artist.
So you buy and you hold your painting, which means that there's less liquidity within the market. There we go.
The fact that that art is heterogeneous makes it very difficult to create such.
Okay, but this is not a product that you're offering where someone can actually buy into the indice.
No, not at all. We want to add a service to the art industry to give a sense of price movement over time of this asset class. It legitimizes this asset class, gives a service to clients who already are invested in art. It helps them with their timing decisions on entering or exiting the market. So it'll be very valuable. Last night at our function, we had people coming up with a whole host of ideas as to how they're going to use it for insurance and you know what.
What kind of appetite do you foresee for this indice, and tell us about how you're going to build up relationships with clients going forward? It'll be interesting to see how this product is soaked up, and then could we see more passion or sinful type investments? You're talking about wine. I don't think that's passion, probably more sin.
Well, we hope to partner with all the auction houses and all other participants in the art industry to use this index. So we're not selling this index. It'll be published for free. This is absolutely unique in the way that it's been combined, so it's truly a world first in how this is done. We hope that we can interact with other international providers of art indices so that we can give an international advice to our clients in terms of art. But for now, we're focusing on the South African
Gallery
market.
sales, interestingly enough, not included.
No.
Why?
Because there's no transparency. They don't publish them publicly. They don't give you sense of commissions included. There's different scales at different galleries. Some of it is done in private. So unfortunately, you're not comparing apples to apples. If you do that, the prices we used are purely auction prices. So hence, it's a clean apple-to-apple comparison.
Okay. Well, with regards to numbers that you could be experiencing going forward, what would your benchmark be against the indice? Can we actually measure the performance of this artwork over time?
Well, that's the purpose. This is supposed to become the benchmark for art. Now remember, the purpose is not to value individual pieces. This is an overview of the entire universe and how its price trends change over time.
Big question, does it beat inflation over the long term? Because that's essentially what we want.
What would you expect intuitively art to do in relation, for instance, to the JSE? You would expect the wealth effect to feed through, and when the JSE does well, art does well. When the JSE has a tough time, art has a tough time. So it actually runs along with the stock market. So to answer your question, does the JSE beat inflation over time? Over long time periods, yes.
So that's the benchmark JSE All Share.
Well, it's not the benchmark, but I mean, typically it runs with it, yeah.
Absolutely. Tell us about the timing of the inclusion of this indice. Given the fact that we have just so much volatility on a global level at a time where there's a lot of concern and sentiment deterioration with regards to actual currency. Is this an alternative currency in a sense?
Well, over time it'll definitely be. The typical investor into art is a long-term investor, and they typically hold on to that because of the aesthetic pleasure that this investment brings. They say that only 3 things bring art to market, and that's death, divorce and debt. So considering the amount of debt we have around the world right now, unfortunately there's a lot of art on offer right now.
And what can we expect going forward from this indice? Are you going to be publishing a lot of the information and data going forward?
It's all 100% transparent because we're not selling this product, we're offering this product as a service.
Yeah.
There's a website for it called Citadel artpriceindex.co.za. All the information is on there. It'll be updated semi-annually at this point in time, but as it gets used more, we get more data prints on it, it'll probably go to quarterly.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, George. Great to have you on the program. George Herman, investment strategist at Citadel.